Hi there, and welcome to Wits News, where we ask ourselves, what is this shit? I'm your host, Ole. Now let's get into some shit news. Well, happy mid February. Spring is right around the corner. That's always a good thing. But this sure isn't. This was from February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. It's X'd out, or tweeted, I don't know what you call it nowadays, but this is from Scarlett Johansson. And she's got a blue check, so that's the real deal. I don't even got one of those yet. But this is what it says right here. From Scarlett Johansson. Title IX Insanity. Eighth grade boys in Kiel, Wisconsin were formally charged with sexual assault for not using they them pronouns when referencing classmates. The district was forced to drop these charges. In 2024, Biden's Title IX revisions would have these eighth grade boys charged with sexual harassment for misgendering a peer who identifies as non binary. These charges would stick. Wow. Eighth grade, huh? Eighth grade charged with. So this school in Kyle, Wisconsin, charged eighth grade boys, with sexual harassment for misgendering somebody who's probably genderly confused or confused by their parents. This is what our world is coming to. It's all this bullyism, and this is why I don't play these games to begin with. Never have, never will. Let's dig into it. It says right here, Kyle Area School District, a second century of excellence. Well, apparently not. This formal complaint is filed by the complainant for or parent or guardian on behalf of the complained or signed by the Title IX coordinator. If this formal complaint is filed by the complainant, it may be filed with the Title IX coordinator in person, by mail, by electronic mail, by using the contact information for the Title IX coordinator, or by any additional method designed by the district. A document filed by a complainant means a document or electronic submission that contains the complainant's physical or digital signature, or otherwise indicates that the complainant or a parent or guardian acting on behalf of a complainant is the person filing the formal complaint. This formal complaint is intended to request the district to investigate the allegations of sexual harassment. This formal complaint must either attach or include below specific allegations of sexual harassment against the respondent about conduct within the school's education program of activity. And it says allegations of sexual harassment are as follows: mispronouncing. The conduct occurred within the district's education program or activity in the following respect: general music classroom in Kyle Middle School. There's page 2. Notice of a formal complaint of sexual harassment. This notice is intended to inform you that a formal complaint alleging sexual harassment under Title IX has been filed by a complainant or signed by the Title IX coordinator with the district. You are being provided this notice because you are a party to this formal complaint. Enclosed, please find a copy of the district's sexual harassment policy, including the district's Title IX grievance process for this formal complaint and the district's informal resolution process. Please be informed that the respondent is presumed not responsible for the alleged conduct and that a determination regarding responsibility is made at the conclusion of the grievance process. Please also be aware that the parties may request to inspect and review evidence that is directly related to the allegations raised in the formal complaint. The parties may have an advisor of their choice, who may be but is not required to be an attorney. Please also be aware that, as provided in Policy 2266, the district prohibits knowingly making false statements or knowingly submitting false information during the grievance process. Well, if you're gender confused, aren't you already? I mean, if you're asking somebody to use some made up pronouns or you're non-binary, aren't you already knowingly submitting false information? Please be advised of the following allegations that potentially conclude sexual harassment. And it says, after being informed that a student's preferred pronouns were they, them, whoever this is, blank, their name was redacted, engaged in conduct based on gender identity towards this student, including using incorrect pronouns and conduct that was harassing in nature, like calling them their real gender, I'm guessing. But when did telling the truth become harassment? It doesn't make any sense at all. At the district's discretion, conduct that is investigated using the district's grievance process for allegations of Title IX sexual harassment will be assessed under all relevant legal standards and all applicable district policies, rules, and code of conduct. So this is what they're doing instead of teaching kids how to read and do math. Like really? So you're going to investigate some eighth grade kid called somebody by their real gender, male or female. So they gotta do an investigation. Let's see what some of the comments got to say. This is the world we live in. And then here's a couple replies from Scarlett Johnson, the girl that shared this. School administrators should not be requiring minor students to go through the Title IX investigations for mispronouncing, which amounts to protected speech. Any attempt to force students to comply with the school's preferred mode of speaking is unlawful. Biden will try to change that. Telling the truth is more important than being inclusive. Yes, it is. Speak out against President of the United States' must say they Title IX proposed changes which compel pronoun use or face prosecution. See Kyle, Wisconsin case. Curtail EPC clause, make women and girls less safe and more vulnerable to assault. Yeah, because you're letting men in the girls' bathroom. Unfairly force girls to compete with biological males. Taylor YM says, pretty easy to avoid with some basic human decency. Oh, you prefer to be called they? Sorry, I didn't know. I'll make the adjustment. Wow, so hard. Scarlett replies, live not by lies. Yeah, I agree. I ain't gonna say shit. I just won't talk to you. Pretend like you don't exist. Dan Nordstrom says, intentionally misgendering someone is bullying and certainly a form of sexual harassment. It doesn't matter if a person is LGBTQ or not. Forcing somebody to say something they don't believe is fucking bullying and harassment. It can't be just me, says. It's important to remember the majority of Americans are not on Twitter. There are parents out there that have no idea this is going on in schools around the country. The weird thing that started on college campuses graduated to grade school teachers, and here we are. Yeah. Happy Florida, he writes. I'm currently raising tweens and a teen, 2 boys and 1 girl. I'm absolutely terrified for my boys and horrified for my daughter. Jasmine Dragon writes, I have told my kids to just not engage in any way with these people. I am sorry the other kid is being abused by his or her inclusive family, but I have to protect me and mine. Yeah. And that's just the thing. I don't believe in gender confused kids. I believe in children that have been abused by their parents and confused by their parents. Every time I run, I know a few of these gender confused kids, and it's always the same story. How about instead of, investigating kids that are misgendering kids, maybe you should investigate the parents who taught their kids that they weren't who they were and they didn't love them for who they were, you know? Greg Scott writes, mispronouncing? Make it stop. Whoever participated in the attempted destruction of children's lives by this should be publicly shamed and never allowed within 5 miles of a school. I agree. They should be in prison. April. April Meyer writes, I know most people don't realize it, but charges can be just as hurtful to a person than convictions. When employers run background checks and see a person with a SA sexual harassment charge, they won't know the details until they actually look into the case. Can you imagine an 18-year-old can now have a background that shows he was charged with sexual harassment for being accused of not using proper pronouns, wasting cops and courts' time to further allow real crime to get out of control, and potentially ruining a person's potential career or goals over speech is absolutely absurd. It is, and she's absolutely right, because I was charged for something I didn't do when I was 18. There was a place that got robbed, and a couple of my friends did it. I was nowhere near it, but I got arrested and charged with it. And even though I was never convicted because I didn't do it, and they couldn't prove I did it because I was nowhere near the place, every single time I did a job interview, I would have to explain to them that I was not the person that did this crime. I was never found guilty of it. I was just falsely arrested for it. And no matter what, it shows up on your background that you were arrested for it. That's really one of the biggest reasons I was never able to advance anywhere in any kind of job I had. Because no matter what, I had to explain to them, that I didn't commit that burglary charge 25 years ago. Tea Party Barbie writes, "This is child abuse and abuse of the legal system." Yes, it is. George Jetson writes, "So are they going to wear they/them tags? Biden is a dictator of the West." They go with little tags. Boy, girl. Yeah, I just won't talk to him anymore. Mike Bate writes, "Insane. Micro minorities are narcissistic bullies." Yeah, they sure are. That's what it amounts to narcissism. Forcing people to bow down to your will. Shit that makes no sense. Call me a teapot. Either call me a teapot or you're gonna go to jail. Maybe I should identify as Jesus from now on. Joanne the Sin writes, and she's just got a little Chuck Norris meme. I too was once a man trapped in a woman's body, and then I was born. Hmm. Dennis Thome, PhD, writes, "Ammo up, boys and girls. This isn't America anymore." Florida Buck writes, "DeSantis mentioned this earlier this week. He will ignore the Constitution and knows many schools will just obey. Everyone, please, please speak up. This is beyond evil." Yeah, it is. Phil writes, "Absurd." Patriot Mom writes, "What these smaller communities need is competition. Kyle, Sheboygan, Falls, etc. Schools have become a business, and our children are the dollars. They want and need to stay afloat. Perhaps it's time these communities had a healthy homeschool co-op or a charter school in the community. What happened to all the gifted and accelerated programs in our schools? They've been obliterated. Perhaps a new charter should pop its head for those that are excelling. I'm sick of all the bullshit." I think we all are, to tell you the truth. Oh, we're not going to spend all day on these comments today, but Marsha says, "Incredible. This can't be allowed to happen." Mr. P.I. writes, "Wait, I thought gender identity wasn't sexual." No shit. Annie B says, "Crazy." Mike Hauer writes, "Hello, fellow student. I am respectful of you and your choice of identity. To prevent offending you, I will refer to you in the manner of your choosing. I hope you have a good day in accordance with your personal preference. I look forward to interacting with you again." No, I don't. And I wouldn't be interacting with you at all. This is why it's gone this far, bro. Because you keep playing along with their little make believe game. Malcolm Tuck writes, "Document literally says harassment, not assault. Also, the behavior would have to be repeated and intentional to draw this level of attention. Snowflake's upset here about bullies getting got." What the fuck? Yeah, no, Malcolm. I don't think so. Posta says, "Solution. The eighth grade boys should have just ignored, refused to acknowledge, walked away, and identified themselves as hearing impaired and blind. Problem solved." Yep. Lena Rouse writes, "Talking to my kids about rainbow sex should be considered sexual harassment." Yes, I agree. JFC. Kyle is a town of less than 3,500 people. It's a nice, quiet, small Wisconsin town, and this madness has infiltrated it. Don't think it can happen in your little town. I'm actually quite shocked by this. Yeah, it's kind of weird that this is have going on in a small town, especially it's most likely a conservative town. It seems to be infiltrating everybody everywhere, and it's because of anyway, fuck it. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Thatch writes, "There needs to be jail time for the administrators who participated in this act of intimidation and lawlessness. They are unfit to be in charge of children." Yeah. Reed writes, "Who voted for those charges? I don't remember women being consulted. Real women, the women it was supposed to protect. Sorry, it's frustrating. Yeah. Toll rights, an attack on the Constitution must be a treasonous act. Yeah. With that, let's just end it. People need to be aware of this and really pay a little more attention to what's going on. Charging eighth graders with sexual harassment for mispronouncing some fake ass gender that somebody made up. It's got to stop. This is America, land of the free. This has been What Is This Shit News? And this is some fucking shit. Until next time.